Make the mundane magical with starlight witch.
What's up, witches? It's Starlight out in the evening, and today's video is going to be a continuation of my Fae series here on this channel. I will link the actual playlist up there. And this one is going to be on the Faery Courts. So just like the general kind of inner machinations of the fairies. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. So, the Faery Courts. There are technically 6, although they are used kind of interchangeably. And I'm going to tell you right now why that's should not be happening. So, obviously using my trusty Book of Shadows. Getting right near the end of that, look. Getting to the end of it. I need a new one. So, Faery Courts in general. The winter and autumn courts are considered Unseelie, though they are each a court in their own right and with their own Fae and own purpose. Spring and summer courts are considered the Seelie ones, although they are each court in their own right and with their own Fae and their own purpose. In a nutshell, the Faery Courts are the paramount social structures of the Fae society. Courts are very strong political allegiances that enforce their philosophy on existing members, recruit for new members, build armies, hold sway in seasonal power, and practically worship their nobility. Those who swear no allegiance to any court are known as the Courtless or solitary Fae. They tend to have a neutral, balanced, or common ground between the courts, and are the most dangerous because they are the most unpredictable. They can go either way on a whim. However, they are often seen as intermediaries between the courts, and there are not many that regret being courtless. They can become so by being banished, choosing to leave, or not choosing at all. They prefer to go about their business and not get involved in the politics of the courts. The most well-known are goblins, treants, wilden, hags, dryads, satyrs, and nymphs. Those beings can act as friendly as the Seelie or as miserably horrid as the worst Unseelie on a whim. So the term court in this case is used to mean the home of the king and queen. So I will be talking about Queen Tatiana and King Oberon as like the general overarching like royalty of the summer court and the Seelies. But like remember that each court has their own kind of like king and queen. So Tatiana and Oberon are just like the most well known, basically. Or Titania. I always used to say Tatiana. Titania and Oberon are the most well known. But there is also the Shadow Court, which is not very well known. So there is some things in the Fae realm that not even the Unseelie dare to dabble in. The realm is home to both dreams and nightmares. None more personify the latter than the Shadow Courts. Nebulous and not well understood, existing on the fringe of the Fae society, are creatures of darkness and gloom. It is said that Loth reigns over these enigmatic lands and creatures, though other Fae deities may have some influence here. Although the Shadow Realms exist within the land of the Fae, most things that come from it are not considered to be Fae in nature. Shadow magic is not magic at all, nor does it is understood by witches, wizards, clerics, druids, etc. Instead, shadow magic requires a sacrifice of part of oneself to the shadows in exchange for the ability to use it to exert their will or gain from the dark benefit it offers. So, like, shadow magic is just, like, the definition of dark magic, really, or what is considered to be, like, black magic by certain witches. The Seelie Court, so I'll be flicking between pages a little bit because I've got some kind of, like, information spread out a little bit. So, the Seelie Court. Those in the good graces of humans who were generally good to them were known as Seelies. The term was coined by the Scottish. They enjoy feasting, dancing, and prefer rural settings. They are known for being friendly and sociable and living in large groups. If one encounters a Seelie fairy, one can generally expect good treatment as long as it is reciprocated. Although sometimes Seelie Fae enjoy a bit of trickery or mischief. Humans are generally left unharmed by encounters with them. Known particularly for their acts of selfless kindness and generosity, they are often referred to as the Court of Inner Light, the Summer Court, the Shining Throne, or the Golden Ones. Just because they come from the Seelie Court, though, not all of these Fae are as good or pure as we might expect them to be. While much more gracious than their Unseelie counterparts, many Seelie Fae are prone to playing pranks on humans and other creatures without concern about the after effects, though this does depend on the type of Fae and indeed each individual being. They are also known to eagerly seek revenge on anyone who wrongs them, though for the most part they can be reasoned with and can be very understanding, and if not, then they will at least give you a warning of the impending attack. Ruled by the Summer Court, and to a lesser extent the Spring Court, the Fae of the Seelie Courts are those who are of generally amicable predisposition, though again prone to mischief and are known to overreact by non-fairy standards to situations. The Seelie Court Fae freely visit the middle world, which is Earth or our realm, and are generally welcomed there. The court is primarily populated by Eldarin, elves, gnomes, hobgoblins. Well-known Seelie Court Fae include Queen Titania, King Oberon, who are the perpetual rulers of the courts. Puck, or Robin Goodfellow, is a Summer Court noble. And Ariel, a wayward Spring Court Fae, was known for being caught up in the dealings of some powerful human arcanists. The Fae of the Summer and Spring Courts are often favour spells of conjuration or manifestation, elemental fire magic, and in addition to illusory and nature magic that all Fae are drawn to. The Spring Court is seen as the calmer, benevolent side to the Fae. They are generally polite, bright-eyed, and bushy-tailed. They are more apt to lure humans in with sweet dew and have a blossoming curiosity. Strongest during the ends of winter and throughout spring, these Fae are peppy, quiet, seductive, emotional, and vernal. The Summer Court represents the benevolent side of the Fae. This court are generally considered to be more polite and well-mannered, albeit still very capable of cruelty, though more subtle about it and only if provoked. They have free reign over the summer solstice and spring equinox months. The Fae in this court are frivolous, venereal, and hot-headed, but damn do they know how to party. Seelie roughly translates to blessed or holy. And the Seelie code is death before dishonour. So chivalry still lives, honour is the most important virtue, the source of all glory. Personal honour must always be kept stainless. Sometimes death is the only path which can erase the mark of dishonour. Next one is love conquers all. Love lies at the heart of the dreaming. True love transcends all and epitomises what it means to be Seelie. Courtly love best expresses love in its highest form, though familial love and love of companions also serve as pure embodiments of that exalted virtue. Anything is permitted in the name of true love. Next one. Beauty is life. Beauty is a timeless, objective quality that, while it cannot be defined, it is always recognised for itself. Beauty is the muse of creation, the ultimate flowering of the dreaming. Once found, it must be protected, for it is both eternal and fragile. To die in the service of beauty is an honour and a privilege. Last one. Never forget a debt. One gift deserves another. The recipient of a gift is obligated to return favour. Likewise, a curse should be returned in kind. An oath of friendship should be returned with a corresponding oath. Never refuse to aid anyone to whom you are indebted. Never forget a kindness or a cruelty. So, that's the Seelie. The Unseelie. The Unseelie are generally Fae to be avoided. Fairies of the Unseelie court are known for being malicious to humans. They live in the wilderness far away from humans or in places associated with death, war, or cruelty, as a general rule. They can be found anywhere, just like Seelies. They tend to desire pain and destruction and need no provocation to be cruel. The Unseelie court consists of the opposites of the Seelie courts, known as the baddies or the evil ones of the Fae realm. Some of the more well-known Unseelie court members are the Dullahan, or the Headless Horseman, and Boggarts, though Boggarts in this case are angered and tormented brownies, not the shape-shifting monsters from Harry Potter. The Fae of the Unseelie court tend towards malevolence and are guided by the lords of the winter and autumn courts. The Unseelie are often merciless and are likely to be aggressive for no reason, as well as being very spiteful. Most people in the middle world, or Earth, our realm, would know to avoid involvement with the Unseelie, though doing so can prove difficult when such Fae may freely lie and mislead those they interact with. Eladrin, Changelings, Drow and Spriggans are the most populous Fae among the Unseelies. And I kind of reserved to say Eladrin because I said that for the Seelie court as well. But again, remember, like, each individual being can choose which court to be in for themselves. So there are some, like, nymphs that are Unseelie, there are some will-o-wisps that are Seelie, there are some Spriggans that might be Seelie. Like, you can't automatically assume just because you feel that kind of energy. Well-known Unseelie court Fae. Queen Mab was a former matriarch of the Winter Court. She is still alive, though, in the far reaches of the Fae realm, and is also known as the Queen of Air and Darkness. Morgan is a noble of note from the Autumn Court, who is known to delight in meddling with affairs of humans, especially nobles or the famous people, often with the goal of humiliating them. The Fae of Winter and Autumn Courts are often favour spells of storm and cold elemental magic, in addition to the illusory and nature magic that all Fae are drawn to. The Fae of the Winter Court frown upon humans and are likely to talk openly about their cruelty. This makes them appear evil, but then that depends on your definition of evil. I'm more inclined to use the term dark, as they do with the Scandinavian mythology. The Winter Court has free reign over winter solstice and autumn equinox months, and they are the strongest during this time. The Fae of this court are sensible, chilled, dark and baleful, the epitome of winter. Along those lines, the Autumn Court is seen as equally malevolent side of the Fae in comparison to winter, but much more middling. The Fae of this court are generally the ones doing the dirty work and the trooping. However, these Fae can have much nicer sides than any of the Fae and return great favours. The Autumn Court is strongest during the end of summer and through autumn seasons, so the Autumn Court would be like around this time when this video gets posted. These Fae are strong, mysterious, eerie, ravishing all the same, and devious. Unseelie roughly translates to unblessed or unholy. The Summer Court are closely associated with the Seelie, and the Summer and Spring Court are closely associated with the Seelie. The Autumn and Winter Courts are closely associated with the Unseelie, but they are separate courts. They each have different rules and regulations, and a lot of them follow their own moral code. All of these terms are used interchangeably. People tend to view only the Seelie or Unseelie, though this is technically incorrect. Each seasonal court and each member of it can decide how they wish to appear. These terms cannot be used interchangeably. Groups of Fae are known as hosts. The Unseelie Code. Change is good. Security does not exist. The slightest of circumstances can transform a king into a peasant. Nothing is certain in a world where change is the only constant. Embrace change or else fall before its onslaught. Chaos and discord rule the universe, adapt or die. So lovely, aren't they? Next one is glamour is free. Glamour is worthless unless used. Hoarding glamour makes no sense since it's an eternally replenishable resource. So long as humans exist, there will always be dreamers, hence there will always be more glamour. Acquire it by any means possible and you will never be without a constant supply. Number 3. Honour is a lie. Honour has no place in the modern world. It is a fairy tale constructed to cover the essential emptiness behind most traditions. Only through enlightened self-interest can any truth be attained. And the last one? Passion before duty. Passion is the truest state of the Fae spirit. Follow your instincts and act on your impulses. Live life to the fullest without any regard to the consequences. They will come about regardless of what you do. Youth passes quickly, so have fun while you can. Death can come at any time, so live without regret. So that was a slightly longer one, and obviously any of the Fae beings can be in any of these courts, and it's just like down to each one which court they tend to associate themselves with. In my experience, I work more with the Seelie side of the courts. I work more with the summer and spring kind of Fae. but I have kind of like pushed my toes into the Unseelie side of it. But I use the term Seelie and Unseelie a lot, but I think like Unseelie has kind of like evil or negative connotations. So I kind of prefer using the term dark, like I said earlier. So there's like the light Fae and the dark Fae, because darkness has its place, and I'm completely understanding of that. But as for my experience with the courts, obviously each kind of Fae is going to have their own set of rules. Each individual Fae is going to have their own set of rules and their own moral code. So it really depends on kind of like what you want to work with. But this was just kind of like a basic overview of the Fae society in general. And yeah, I hope you learned something from it, because I know I did in researching it. So for now, I think that wraps up this video. Be unapologetically you, no shame, and I will see you in the next one.